Good afternoon, evening, or morning, or wherever you happen to be out there in the interwebs. I am Bracy, and over here that side of me is Nemesis. We are here with Comic Crusaders, speaking on behalf of the Cinema Crusaders. No, Nim wouldn't split me around. How dare you? And we are here to bring you a special interview from some of the creators of the wonderfully grindhouse film, Night of the Bastard. I mean, like, that's a 70s title if you ever heard one, right? So I'd like to introduce the creators who are present and available today. We have London May, one of the key actors in the film, and the story man himself, Erik. Geez, I'm going to screw this up all right. Boccio?
Boccio!
Yeah, you got it.
All
right.
Hey, guys, thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate this opportunity to talk to you and about your production and all the legendary travails that happened to make this thing a thing out there in the world.
Out there at 29 Palms, we just found out right before we came on live. So Wonder Valley. So
Wonder Valley in August, in one of the hottest places on earth.
Yeah,
135 degrees during the day.
And that was insane. And I was when I was like getting the notes and doing the research, I was expecting you guys were going to have that sort of like legitimate desert experience where it was freezing at night. But then I felt like, oh, it's only like 112 at night. So consistently hot.
It really cooled down to a comfortable 112. It was a fucking inferno, man.
Oh man, like I was telling people, like we were discussing before the show started. This film in and of itself is something quite interesting, but the production behind it might even be more harrowing than all of the action that is on screen. This film might go down as like one of the legendary cursed projects that actually got made. And I'm talking about like having read and seen videos from all sorts of productions that dealt with just insane things. Like Werner Herzog wanting to take a ship over a mountain, and the people who filmed Open Water, only being able to fly down and film on the weekends for 2 years. Just incredible obstacles that really gutsy filmmakers get out there and overcome to produce their art. So tell us a little bit about some of that, and if you would, a little bit about yourselves for the audience out there who may not be familiar with your work.
I mean, you said it yourself. This was Fitzcarraldo levels of insanity. I mean, we filmed it was 11 nights. We all lived out there in the desert, 110 degrees at night. We had a serial killer on the loose. We had monsoons. We had sandstorms. We had the roof ripped off the house. We had people getting sick. We had washed out roads, turtle bites. The list goes on. We can dive in deeper later.
Arson. We had arson as well.
Turtle bites?
Turtle bites.
That horrible little turtle was biting people? Oh, man.
I can't help
this
but wonder.
Little area right here, man.
I was wondering about that. I did
see
a couple of scenes where people are picking up the turtle and the turtle popped its mouth open. It's like, oh, I wonder if he got somebody.
Oh, that's a vice grip. That is a very sharp little vice grip, and he loves it right here. And he bit me in that pool, and that pool was full of rancid water. And I was like, I'm gonna get fucking Ebola from this.
And you still had that look of adoring love on your face for the turtle after he
It's called acting. I was fucking pissed.
That turtle was quite the diva on set, and it actually has an agent now.
Yes. Yeah. She had to have her own aquarium, her own special diet. I mean,
she just had a rider full of stuff, I take it.
Oh, if she wasn't shitting and biting the fuck out of everything, she was a consummate professional. She's my favorite co-star in the movie. But now she won't take my calls.
You had to separate all the brown M&Ms out for the turtles, so yeah.
I can't help but wonder, given all that, in the scene where the cultist just chucks her over the fence, if that was for real.
Oh, don't get. Oh, wait! You're gonna cut that out of the film. Cut that out of the.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Oh, you just gave the whole movie away, Bracy.
I'm sorry, I didn't think it was that big a plot point.
Well, I do have to say that turtle And now that I know, it's like that puts the whole movie in a whole nother light. Now it's like I've got alternate theories on what was going on in the whole film, you know. So
well, it's actually Marlena, and Marlena is a female turtle. She was playing against type. She was playing a male turtle. So we're very proud of our diversity in casting here. We really wanted to open it up to, you know, all types, and she's one of 7 turtles in a little turtle family that live in Wonder Valley.
Oh wow, very cool.
And she was returned back to her family after the filming. We did not eat her like Cannibal Holocaust or anything gnarly like that.
I mean, the movie's got blood, violence, gore, sex, nudity, decapitations. It needed a little bit of heart and soul, and that's where the turtle comes in.
Well,
this does seem like an innocuous question, but like, given that you're in the desert, why a box turtle instead of, say, a desert tortoise? If that played into things at all.
Well, he keeps it in a aquarium, which a box turtle would not need. A box turtle just kind of roams around on the.
Tortoise will roam around the desert and dig holes for burrows.
Yeah. So we wanted something that he could have inside in his house, like almost like a roommate in a way.
Sort of represents him. He's a recluse, you know. He's boxed in his own little aquarium.
No, I like that.
That's
I like
really
that.
good. That's really good, Eric.
I love like the little gems of meaning that are hidden in films in terms of like you know, character decisions, or even like you'll see it in the production value, what a person has in their house. I particularly liked how, even though this character was so incredibly isolated, he kept expressing himself creatively. He was always making art for his home. So he wasn't just like that, you know, that gruff, grungy old man, you know, sitting there like, get off my lawn, you damn kid. You know, he seemed to have a strangely full sort of life, even though he was not living the best life out there.
Wow. Tracy, I'm really touched by that. That's really intuitive. The original idea, we were going to shoot at a different house, and that particular house was a little more upscale, and we were trying to figure out a way that why a person would have like an upscale house out in the desert isolated. And then it was like, oh, well, he's an artist. So we had kind of created this backstory that he was, you know, reclusive kind of arts and craftsy guy who just spent his time like people in the desert do. If you've been, you know, I don't know, in Riverside or down in
David
Tree.
You can tell you stories about the weirdness of desert people and the wonderful eccentricities of them.
We have a guy here. You know, I live in urban Los Angeles, and there's a guy here who's done bottle art, like a museum at his just residential house. And so we wanted to kind of capture that. And then when we actually had to move locations to where the movie was shot, we brought that along with us, the bottle tree and the, you know, and the mosaic stuff. And it kind of all fits together, but that was the idea. It's like, why would a guy live out there? We wanted to make it, give him a little something, like you said, to make his life full. He's not out there. Well, I don't want to, I mean, either he's out there, he's hiding for something, he's waiting for something. But his mind is very active.
Well, and I like that because we didn't really get into his particular past. So for me, I'm an artist myself. I'm an illustrator. So like I clock that right away. And again, thinking about like how people who choose to live in the desert, you know, people isolate themselves for various reasons. So for me, that definitely enriched the character in a way that would have taken him from like, you know, this 2D generic character to giving him really interesting points of interest as I was watching the movie.
Well, thank you very much. That nobody has mentioned that. That's really nice.
One of the things I noticed, you know, it felt really authentic. Like I said, I recognized the mountains right away. I was like, this looks familiar out there somewhere. I spent the beginning of my life out in Yucca Valley, and then we moved into Riverside and everything. But one of the things I noticed, I was wondering if you could elaborate on a little bit. You know, Jeff was talking a little bit about the backstory. One of the first things I noticed, and it felt authentic, was, you know, the isolation out there and the way that you know that you can live off the grid out there. But he had a Marine flag. Did I see that on the house?
Yeah.
So I was wondering, are we going to hear a little bit more about his backstory? Because I did see that you guys are planning on doing this as a trilogy, and we're going to come back to that character eventually, correct? So.
Yeah, I simply want to, about Reed. Reed has a past, but he doesn't really have a future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's definitely a backstory that was not used in the film.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like people to kind of come up with their own ideas about him. We leave clues. There's clues in there, but as far as like really, letting you in on my process of development, that's fucking boring. It's just he's a crazy. I don't know. Describe him, Eric. He's too close to my heart.
Travis Bickle was kind of an archetype for this character, and there was a backstory, but an 82-minute film, I just wanted to move. I didn't want to bog it down with any of that stuff. But not to say it's not important. There are visual clues all over this movie. The flag, if you really look around his house, you'll notice little things, magazines, certain things in the background. We have littered visual clues everywhere for people that care and really want to dig in. Otherwise, just, get on the ride.
Well, I thought it was kind of fascinating. I can't give away, I don't want to give away the plot points, but I think that I felt as the viewer watching it that there's a hidden bloodthirst underneath, where he could let go at any time and become a killing machine, so
he's not afraid to draw blood, but he's
afraid of that part of himself.
He has a phobia about blood, as you see in the movie. He's not afraid to draw first blood, but he actually doesn't want to see the blood.
I thought that was a really neat part of the character. So, like, I also noticed the Marine flag, and so I'm thinking, like, okay, we have an element here that'll establish when the shit goes down, this guy does have the skills to take care of himself. But then you juxtapose that, instead of him becoming an Arnold Schwarzenegger commando type character, you give him this extreme phobia to the sight of blood. And I loved how, like, just crazy nervous you were, like, every time you had to deal with it. Like, you're, like, trying to mop up blood and not look at it. And that was so spectacular, including, like, scenes that I can't describe because I don't want to spoil the fun and impact of that. But, watching him try and treat a wound, that was both, like, horrifyingly gratifying and, like, just funny to the bone at the same time.
Well, I'm really glad you mentioned that it's funny, and that doesn't get talked about enough, is that the laughs in Bastard are very intentional. We really wanted to make people squeal. We wanted to make people laugh. We wanted to offend them. We wanted to excite them, really give you the whole Grindhouse experience, but not too serious,
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea was to be a Midnight Madness film, and it's, seeing it at some of these film festivals where the audience are cheering at these funny moments, like that was all intentional.
Now, I want to speak to that because I'm sure there are going to be people out there who detract the film who are going to say, like, oh, the dialogue was corny and the acting was like scenery chewing and ham-fisted. But I felt like
is that you under a different name, Bracy? I think I read your review.
I felt like all of that was intentional. And, like, if you're really leaning into the Grindhouse aspect, but you're going to goof it up a little bit, you're not trying to be Wes Craven. You're sort of doing the American Werewolf in London thing where you have the grue and the gore, but, like, let's take a pause and laugh at this. Let's break the tension where we need to. Because we're not just trying to make something that's going to make people leave the film sick to their stomach or completely dejected and depressed by the end.
Yeah, I mean, not only was the film influenced by the levity of those Grindhouse films where you laugh, but, it also cost about $5. So if we took ourselves too serious, we're just going to fall flat on our faces.
I mean, we had to keep the intensity up. So any sort of like acting technique, it's like, throw that away. This movie is just all instinct. It's just get out there, fight, spit out your lines, run, kill somebody, cut. That's it. There was no time to sit there and talk about your your
what's my motivation?
What's my motivation and what acting school did I go to? It was just spit out the lines the way that they are. It was intentionally written and performed in a way that would create a vibe for the people that it's made for. It's not going to win an Academy Award.
Now,
There's no pretense about it.
It's so interesting
it's
because
made for freaks by freaks.
Yeah.
Amen.
It's so interesting because this is so counterintuitive to your normal process. I'm not anywhere near your level, but I've done a little bit of acting myself, so I understand some of where
I'm not that far away.
And I was recently watching the behind the scenes on the creation of Marvel's WandaVision, and how Elizabeth Olsen was talking about, like, you go to acting school and you see all these things and you study like this period stuff in the sitcoms. You're like, oh, you'll never use that. And then the next thing you know, she's on a show where she has to overact because she's doing several scenes based on a sitcom. And so here you are, you have to kind of like ignore your training and just really go with your gut and go with the flow. And I think that adds a level of energy to the project that you wouldn't see under like a really tightly helmed sort of a film being made out there. I like the fun of it for that.
Well, thank you. I had I'd had some time to think about, all that I could create for the character was, what would this person do in these extraordinary circumstances?
Mm-hmm.
But I had like a voice, and I had these kind of characteristics about him that I thought were really clever. And then the first day of shooting, I was like, fuck all that, throw it all away, just fucking go. That's me acting and saying those lines, because there was no time to process anything more than just raw instinct, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So all your training goes out the window when you're put to the test, to the challenge of that.
At 135 degrees.
Yeah, in those circumstances, that is real,
So Eric, question for you for production out there. Like you said, it costs like a little north of $5. One of the things you notice right away is that you guys did a lot of practical effects, for the kills and everything, and
practical effects, 100% practical effects.
And it was on a budget, but it got a good, it looked good. It was effective. Can you talk a little bit about the process, about your shooting schedule? Because I'm sure you didn't have time for multiple takes and everything. So how you got all that going? So
so this film was written with the intention of shooting at an extremely fast pace. So, we shot in 11 nights, I should say. And when you think of a typical shooting day, 12 hours, but when you're shooting in August in the desert, it's a nighttime film. It's only dark for about 8 hours. So you got to consider that too, that we really had to squeeze it into 10, 11, 8-hour nights. So we were shooting 12, 13 pages a day.
Wow.
Is insane. So
what's the normal, Eric? What's the normal average?
Even on an indie film, maybe 6 or 7 a day. On WandaVision, maybe 1 a day.
How close are you guys to shooting 1 for 1? The only director I've heard of I can think of who actually did that was Robert Rodriguez when he did his first film. Everybody's trying to get multiple takes and get the best coverage they can, but like, man, that's a breakneck pace you guys set.
Yeah, so that's another thing. People say, oh, when you're shooting on film, if you're shooting on digital, you can shoot as many takes as you want. Not if you got to get through 13 pages. So sort of the mantra was 2 takes, right? Mm. There's no time to find the character, find our moment. We get 2 takes, right? Let's hope you guys get it on the first one. If not, we can squeeze 1 more in. But there was no, let's try again and again, because at 4:30 a.m., I've got a head explosion scene. And if we are even 5 minutes late, the sun comes up and it's blown. Yeah. So it was really 2 takes. We got to get through this. But the gore, practical effects, every single one of those, 1 take. There is no time to be cleaning, resetting, cleaning and touching up actors. Changing wardrobe, forget about it. And most actors had one set. Hence the bloody guy the entire film. So yeah, the practical effects, one take. So I think the whole team really just brought it. Like everyone, was just in it. We got one chance to do this. Let's do it right. And
okay, that clicked something else in my mind. Speaking of references and characters, did the actors choose their own costumes? Because I can't help but notice after you saying there's a reference to Travis Bickle. One of the cultists looks extremely like Travis Bickle.
I'm trying to think. Actually, Reed is more based on Travis Bickle. I think in the Cult.
I mean, I get that, but like to me, one of the cultists, he had like the army jacket and the sort of the haircut going on, like.
Hey, the Mohawk. Oh, Henry Mason with the Mohawk. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The wardrobe was very intentional for the cult. Mm-hmm. What I wanted to avoid, even though this was influenced by a lot of these 70s cult films, I didn't want the generic, everyone has the same look, same robe on. I wanted each character to almost be their own action figure. Even at the risk of making it campy, I was okay with that, as long as you could really distinguish each cultist from one another.
Yeah, we gave them names and, let each actor kind of develop their own little, world around that. But we wanted to make them separate, individual. We didn't want just thug number 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my inspiration for the cultists were the dreadnoughts from G.I. Joe. They each had their own specific.
I can totally see that.
Yeah.
They definitely had their own unique flavor and personality, so that their big moments in the film, at different times, definitely stood out. Each one different. They had their own personalities. You could tell that. Mm-hmm. Going back to the production, so with only 2 takes, max for each scene, was that a challenge to edit and get the whole film together, or did it make it easier? So.
Well, let me tell you. Everything you see in this film is everything we shot. There's no throwaway.
There's no footage.
It's like a hot dog. Like we threw in the lips, the tongue, the dick.
There's no deleted, guys. It's all you get.
So we're gonna get where there's no DVD bonus content, huh?
We'll work a commentary in there.
Back to my Lloyd Kaufman reusing the same car crash over and over again, because I paid the biggest money for this set piece. It's going to be in everything I can possibly put it in.
Yes, exactly.
That's fantastic. I love it.
But we got lucky. I mean, let me just say, we got lucky. This would never happen again. And we're working on another film, and we just keep, when we reference anything from Bastard, we kind of have to just put that aside, because we say that will never happen again. We'll never get that lucky again.
It's a one-time thing.
One-time thing.
Speaking of which, you guys made this film at the height of COVID, is my understanding. And things in California are especially strict about all of that. How were you able to manage that? Just by going out in the desert where nobody could oversee you? How did that all happen?
Well, I am a registered nurse, so I was the COVID compliance officer.
Wow.
On the film, and I was a COVID nurse throughout the whole pandemic.
Thank you for that too. So
you're quite welcome. That was it was funny. Making the movie was almost a vacation from dealing with the pandemic at work.
Several of the other
second, speaking of everyone wearing many hats, London was also the set medic, and there were points where he was in the middle of a scene, an action scene, and he had to step out of the scene to assist a crew member because it was so dusty out there.
Wow. Well, we had 5 people go down from heat strokes, besides cuts and bruises, anxiety attack. We're finding out. I mean, it was, and I knew that if anybody, this was a renegade production, outlaw production, and if anybody ended up in the hospital, we were done. So I had to make sure that nobody went to the hospital. So
wow, really good. And you were on set.
Yeah.
So researching, looking up, some bios and looking at the film and everything. I noticed. I think it was Hannah had a picture, and she was in nurse scrubs. Is she a nurse as well, or is that from something that she acted in? So.
No, I think that's just from a role that she acted in.
Okay.
It would have been great to have. We could have used half a dozen nurses on set.
Okay.
That would have been great. But yeah, we actually had to stop production quite a few times where people would just drop the first.
Would have actually been pretty remarkable.
Day, our set dresser just dropped.
How far away were you from, like, just basic supplies like water and groceries, not let alone hospital and everything while you were filming?
30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes. And going off of your Hannah comments, speaking of crew wearing multiple hats, Hannah actually was also our occult consultant because she is sort of an expert in the occult.
She's a witch. She's a fucking witch.
All right, that's what I was just going to ask you, who was responsible for that. Of my many hats, I'm also a horror writer. I write novels and stuff like that. And that scene, the latest novel I just came out with, has paranormal and occult stuff in it. Mm-hmm. Those scenes really hit me. So I was like, okay, where did you get all of this?
It definitely read as true.
Yeah. It was really good. So
even our flashback, our opening sequence, her character technically isn't involved yet, but she was on set helping choreograph those occult moments.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure we wanted to respect respect the true cultists out there, or respect the true believers out there. Is that when I see, as a nurse, when I see medical stuff in a film that they have not asked a health professional how things really go, it bugs the shit out of me. So if we're going to make an occult movie, I wanted to make sure that we respected demons and Satanism and all that lore to make it authentic as possible. And so we did our research. Erebus is a real demon. He comes from the Book of Solomon, and he is the ruler of 20 armies. Everything that's in the film about Erebus is real. Real in demonology.
Right.
We didn't make that stuff up. And then so we gave that information to Hannah, and then Hannah, the actress who played Claire, and then she was able to distill it into these rituals. And there's a lot of stuff with hand signs and everything that are,
I noticed that,
just fucking creepy.
Yeah,
and if you want to do a deep dive on Erebus, for those that care, there are horses all over the movie. Try to find them.
And
that's funny you said, because like Nim and I are ex-military, and so like when we see something done wrong, that bugs us. But I'm also a Christian, so initially when you were saying Erebus, I thought you were saying Barabbas, and I was gonna like ding you on that. I was like, that's the guy they let go so they could crucify Jesus. What? Yeah, he ain't a demon. What's up with that? And then later on in the film, I heard him say Erebus. Like, oh, okay.
Well, I'm gonna fuck you guys up right now. Barabbas is a character in the film. If you look in the credits, there is a Barabbas in the film.
Really?
Barabbas
now I'm gonna go back and look at that.
Is in the flashback sequence. And
that's astounding.
This is a bonus for you guys, and you guys, we don't want to talk about it here because we're going to give it away. There are characters way down in the list that are biblical characters, and they signify something very significant in the movie.
So, all right. Well,
this definitely pulls in the Bible. It pulls in a lot of Christian stuff, not a lot of Christian stuff, but there's a Three Kings moment where the Savior is born.
I don't want to give away the scene. I almost did. I'm infamous for giving away my own stuff.
Don't be like me and throw out the term.
But several of the kills are iconic and symbolic in a certain way. I'm going to allude to it. I hope you can kind of pick up on this. There was one that kind of harkened back to tarot for me a little bit, a certain tarot card. Was that on purpose by any chance? It happens early in the film. I will say that. So.
Yeah, I want to say yes. That was my one kill. I wish could have been much bigger and grander. But if you actually if you were there, you would see the sun was creeping in. Sun's creeping in. We had to end that there. So yeah.
Now those I guess back to production again. Those actors, they were a couple of them were only in a few scenes. Did they stay out there with you the whole 12 days, or were they kind of like day actors, came in, shot their stuff, and then were able to get the heck out of Wonder Valley while the getting was good? So,
Yeah, that was their only scene, so they were in and out.
Okay.
Yeah, but everyone else was in it for real. It was horror summer camp for 11 days.
Yeah, and it turned into a 2-week skirmish. I mean, it really was our Apocalypse Now. This was our, Hearts of Darkness. And every day I'd look at Erik and just be like, are we fucking done here? There's no way that we can continue like this.
So besides fighting the elements and everything, I saw in the show notes that you had some genuinely, I guess, odd things going on out there. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that as well, and your feelings on it. It's like you don't have to give me like a whole spiritual discussion on what the possibilities were, but what was kind of the vibe on set as some of the odder stuff happened. If you could talk about that a little bit.
I'll just say you fuck around with demonology and find out. I don't know, maybe we lean too hard into being realistic because it's kind of, when you're there in it, you're just kind of trying to survive and get through the night, literally get through the night, not just as a character. And now looking back, I just got goosebumps. There's a lot of spooky shit.
Well, I tell you, for me, the scariest thing, because like you can say like, okay, I feel a vibe, but maybe that's just me getting creeped out. But you found out you were close to a serial killer's dumping ground, so it's like, holy crap, man! How do you feel safe on set, like discovering bodies are not very far away from where you're at?
So there was the Wonder Valley serial killer. There were 6 bodies found in the months leading up to us filming there. And while we were there, they had found a body just off the street we were filming on.
Holy shit, man.
And you said there was a house that burned down across
There was a house that burned down across the street. I mean, shit goes on out there that is kind of commonplace that was shocking to us. I mean, we had our generators went down, the lights would just go out suddenly. I mean, we had the whole kind of homestead lit up, in an amateur kind of way, not like, not like a major motion picture. But stuff would just shut off. I mean, definitely felt that there was some maybe spiritual sabotage going on. Besides people getting sick and recasting and people getting COVID. And
oh geez, that was going on too, huh?
Oh yeah. Right up until the first day of shooting. We had our entire, let me just say this, but 3 out of the 4 bad dudes got recasted the week before the filming.
Oh wow.
I
hope everyone turned out okay though in the end. So recovered.
Yeah. Everybody did okay.
Fortunately, they had a nurse on set.
Yeah. Well,
we had a impromptu sandstorm in the middle of the night, sideways blowing sand.
Bam! Like the Sahara.
Yeah, whole crew had to take cover for at least 2 hours, and this is I only have 8 hours already. We lost 2 hours. Sandstorm, knocking lights over. I mean, if you went out,
the tents just blew away. The tents just blew away.
A blanket over your head. I mean, it hurt, and it blew the roof off the set. Literally, we had to put the roof back on
like a sardine, just rolled up.
And I like, from my perspective, having filmed stuff, like I'm immediately thinking like, oh crap, the equipment, because like your lenses can be so easily scratched. You don't want
his fucking camera got ruined.
Yeah, did it really? Oh,
red camera full of sand.
Well, I have to say, props to the
fortitude of the crew.
Yeah, and the lady who did the occult stuff. I mean, yeah, I guess you guys did fuck around and find out a little bit from what you're saying, but
and the movie was finished on a Friday the 13th, and now it's coming out on a Friday the 13th.
Watching it, I've watched so many horror movies. You kind of get, I'm not going to say blasé to it, but you watch it, you're like, oh, this is, I'm enjoying this. I'm watching this. This is good. But then getting to those points, I got the chills down my back that you don't often get all the time, And I have to say, like I said, I grew up in Riverside, but I've been out there all the time. When you're going to Vegas from LA, you're out there, and and you're lucky if you have air out there at some point, you know. And my brother and I have seen some weird stuff out there. We ran over a ritual site out in the desert once with our car. Weird. Yeah, so we were
the fuck around and find out. It's not over yet. I got a handwritten letter in the mail yesterday in Portuguese that basically told me I'm on a path to evil, and if I don't repent, bad things will happen.
Holy wait! This is a news flash.
We got
Eric. I talked to you fucking 10 minutes ago. You didn't tell me this.
So,
what?
If that person's listening, please do not watch our next film.
Jeez.
This is great. I mean, this is a horror kid's dream. It's a little weird, but wow, you can't make this shit up.
Yeah,
so funny.
I'm telling you, you guys. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
The story behind your movie sounds like the setup to a horror film, because like you guys were told, you were expressly told, don't go film out in the desert, you'll die. It's like the kids who stop at the convenience store, don't go there, nobody ever comes back. And then you find out there's a serial killer out there, and there's weird supernatural stuff going on. Like, I feel like it's almost like somebody's like doing that cabin in the wood things. Then we're going to film you making your movie, and then we're going to sell your snuff film of a movie.
Yeah, I just to me that felt so authentic, and I don't know if that was part of your creative process, but I grew up out here this whole time, and so I know that there's a lot of great people living out in the desert, but there's a lot of weird out in the desert too. It's just a lot of weird. And so watching that and then seeing those mountains look familiar and everything, it really gave me that chill down my spine, which, like I said, you don't get a lot once you've watched a lot of movies and everything, and I got that. So kudos to you guys for that one. So it was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. The impetus for this, it came from, and forgive me if I don't pronounce his name wrong because I've never heard it before, but Gaspar Noé told you to just go out and make your own film.
Yeah, I really hustled him to work on his next movie, and his response was, go make your own fucking movie.
Fucked up movie.
Make your own fucked up movie. Yeah, I mean, this guy's known for making, I mean, the reason I kind of gravitated toward him is because I'm such a fan of his fuck you attitude, and just balls out sort of vibe, and I like that in everything. I like that in music, and I like that in film and art and everything. And so I snuck into a Hollywood premiere to try to get work, and when I said, hey, I want to be in your next fucked up film, he's like, go make your own fucked up film.
Well, I have to admit, like I said, I was doing research on the cast and everything before the show, and I noticed you're on a TV show that I used to watch, Tattoo Nightmares, and so I was trying to find the episode that you were in. So,
oh man, man, you did a deep dive. These are my.
What you gotta go check out, Nim, is you gotta go check out Brutal Realty Inc. That's the one.
Well, did you see it, Gracie?
I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I was like reviewing the trailers and watching some of your interviews in character, which were hilarious.
Thank you. That's how we got here is through Brutal Realty and getting excited about that, and then wanting to do more, and then kind of bucking up against the Hollywood system and getting frustrated and saying, we can do this ourselves. We can do it better. And we're not going to compromise. And how do you do things in Hollywood without compromising? You pay for it yourselves. And between our day jobs and overtime and, our life savings, we made the movie that we wanted to make without apologies.
Now I got to ask you both about that, because Jeff and I are both independent comic creators. And so what is it like, so we know a little bit about that world. What is it like to be an independent filmmaker? So what are the pros and cons? That's a huge question, but what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, freedom and poverty.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, so it's just like being an independent comic creator.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge risk, and me and Eric took the risk of a lifetime. But we stayed true to our, I mean, as you know, like don't pander, make something that resonates with you and the people that you're working with, and follow your guts, follow your bloody heart.
Yeah. The pros are you make what you want. There are so many moments in Night of the Bastard that, if so-and-so was making this, they would have said, no way, you're not putting that in there. But we got to.
And I love seeing this gung-ho attitude, because when I started making my own short films and whatnot, it was something that was available because of the way things had gone. Like, you didn't necessarily have to go to school to learn all the technical aspects. Somebody's put everything you need to know basically on YouTube. Cameras have become smaller and more powerful and more affordable. And I just, when I was into it, I was watching this whole new wave of auteurs going out there and just doing it. And I was like, wow, must be so freeing that you can just go out and do it. And I even see some people who are just creative enough, they're just putting a camera on a stick and doing things, even if they don't have the team to do some interesting camera movement or lighting. There is a renaissance of creativity going on out there, and I'm glad to see you guys are a part of that.
What is it like doing all the post-production stuff, the negatives from being the filmmaker, as an independent filmmaker, Eric?
So I did most of the post on this film. I was the editor on it, and I think it would have been more challenging had I had more takes. But like I said, everything we shot is on the screen.
Did you have to do you did all the sound editing and color and everything on it as well, the lighting and all that?
No, just the editing. We had some excellent sound designers who really came in and took it to the next level.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that, because I noticed particularly in the prologue segment that it felt like the sound designer was again trying to ape the sound of the films of the 70s. And I caught that when the way that like the sound was much more muted once they were inside the car, and then when they had the outside of the car, the voiceover comes in a lot stronger, and it's like that feels really, really 70s right there.
Yeah, we really lucked out with the biggest price point in the movie, and the most professional people that we had were the sound design team, and it's a company called Unbridled, and they had just finished a movie that had not come out yet, and I guess they were still hungry for work, but they had just finished a little movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, that little movie.
Yeah, that little movie. And so they, they were into it, and they gave us they did a great job for us. As you can see, they are kings of Hollywood at this point. And so we're very, very fortunate to have been in the right spot to come in and to work with them to bring the film. I mean, I think the first pass that we heard of their sound design, it was a completely different movie.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. I mean, sound is a big part of movies. You don't realize what a big part of a movie it is until somebody professional gets a hold of it.
I can tell you just from my limited experience making short films and whatnot, it became a big, big thing to get the sound right, because nothing turned me off more than watching somebody short and the sound was bad. Mm-hmm. That just screamed amateur at you.
Takes you out immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our sound design was the most professional part of this movie.
Absolutely, yeah. Worth every penny that we pinched them for. I mean, they were at some point, they were kind of like, you guys got to go. We can't this bro deal, you guys have squeezed every fucking drop out of it.
It just occurred to me, obviously because of the elements, you had to shoot at night because it was just too damn hot during the day. But was that always the plan? Was the original script for it to be a night movie, or did you change that up on the fly, given what was going on?
Well, no, the story takes place in one night, so that was always the plan.
Because it's called Night of the Bastard. Duh. Okay, Dave.
Yeah. We didn't. The only reason that we shot it at that time of the year was punish people. I mean, it was just strictly to punish people.
So I take it no plans to go back out to Wonder Valley and shoot anytime in the future at this point.
Oh, we'll be back.
Or you will be back.
Oh, we'll be back.
So
Yes.
you're masochist. So you know, and
the bastard sequel starts the second that the first movie ends.
Okay.
Speaking of masochism, I want to bring this up that we were talking about in the pre-show. I find it rather ironic that the guy who's responsible for keeping everybody healthy on the set is also the guy who ends up getting the most injured, as you broke your in the midst of one of the fight scenes.
Yeah, we're not quite sure when it happened because it didn't the damage didn't show up until about a month later.
Realized initially that you'd broken your shoulder.
Yeah, so I tore my shoulder up and I traumatized my bicep, and I had surgery in August, and so I'm still rehabbing from that because we have another movie to shoot in this summer, and so the pressure is on for me to get back into fighting shape. But it was worth it, you know, because at first we won a Best Stunts Award, and that just kind of made everything.
Yeah,
I was really like, I'm going to do my own stunts. And now I think I will be a little more cautious on set. But it was some nights I would say it fucking wasn't worth it because it hurts like shit. It fucking sucks. I won't lie. I've been out of work for 5 months.
Oh, I get that. I got to talk to Casper Van Dien last year, and he told me this wonderful story about how he ended up breaking a tooth doing a fall. It was like his cell phone or something came out of his pocket and smacked him in the mouth as he hits the bag. It's like, ooh. So these things happen, but man, if you can be the guy to put it out there on camera, as you know, it makes a difference when we can see, you know, in the wide as well as the close-ups, see that the actor is the one performing the action.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think so too. I appreciate that in films, and when you have one take and you have the sun's coming up, you just have to fucking go for it. And I think the movie, whether the acting or the action or the effects, everything is dialed up on purpose, and because of the experience of trying to make a movie that quick. You know, some of those fucking swings were like, man, I'm glad I fucking ducked because that would have taken my fucking head off.
Now, Eric, I have one last question I wanted to ask you. I was trying to figure out how to put this, so I'm just going to put it to you. You know, we live in a much different world now, especially from the 70s, and there are some scenes here with nudity and stuff like that. And, you know, it's become kind of a sticky thing around Hollywood, you know, a sticky situation. How did you handle that? You know, especially as an independent filmmaker, you can't go and hire an intimacy coordinator and all those types of things, you know? So was it just the professionalism of you and the actress and the actor, you know, because London was involved in, you know, all of you were involved in all that, you know, how did that work? So.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tricky thing at first. People, you know, suggestions were cut it out. But no, I wanted to make the type of movie that inspired me, right? I remember being a 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid watching, you know, trauma films and all these grindhouse films. And that's what they had. They had blood and boobs and violence. And that's what I was going to make. And so I think it was just, you know, the way to approach it like a professional in the casting is to be upfront with it, to be upfront with these actors, with these actresses. You know, what is your comfort level? Is this something you're okay with? And those that got it, they were down. And if they didn't, you know, no hard feelings. Maybe this isn't the film for you.
Okay.
And honestly, I didn't put anybody through anything that I didn't go through myself. I'm naked in the movie as well.
Yep. Sure. I have seen
for better or worse, and my apologies. My apologies to the fucking world, but I wasn't gonna make somebody do something while I sat in the trailer in a fluffy robe drinking a cappuccino.
And I'm glad you guys are all on the same page, because that really added to, you know, what you wanted to reference, and it does harken back, because that is whatever you take on, for better or worse, that's a part of the genre that is a snapshot into that particular time in cinematic history. And I think as somebody who has grown up from the 70s to now, if I see somebody trying to make a grindhouse film and they don't do that, if they're really going to dig deep and do that, I think I'd have felt a bit cheated if that wasn't there.
Yeah.
I also have to say, speaking of London nudity, the first time you read, I thought was pure desert.
What a great intro.
I thought it was just pure desert. It's the kind of thing that you would expect. It's just, once again, I can't give it away, but I was laughing like crazy.
Good giveaway, but man, that was a great intro.
Well, we're gonna have a lot more dicks in our next pick.
Yes,
All right.
we promise.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
sorry.
promise.
Punches.
I gotta say,
Night of the Swinging Con, is that the name of the movie? So
when we see Reed and he realized what's happened, I just love the for fuck's sake kind of look on your face.
Right.
So yeah,
And it was just like, and everybody's standing around and you're just like, oh man, all right, let's fucking do this. There's no fucking time to second guess stuff. And that was the beauty of this, that if this was a normal, this was a normal movie, by the time that people actually showed up in the desert on set, it was time to fucking work. And there was no time to kind of like, go, action, do it now. Okay, great.
I gotta ask, because I'm just a writer and comic stuff, so I'm not around, production stuff. How does that work? How does the film, walk me through before the scene starts to that? So you're kind of like, are you hanging out in a robe and everything, and it's just like, okay, it's time to shoot, and you're just like, here I am, or what is going on?
Well, it was a closed set. For any nudity, it was a closed set. Very respectful. I mean,
Sure.
We couldn't release a movie, through a legitimate distributor and have it play in theaters without covering all our bases legally. With everybody involved, that there was nudity waivers, and there was, we always had women on set and men on set, to kind of balance it out. Mm-hmm. But it was very, very respectful, and you have to just kind of shut stuff down.
Yeah, for you and Eric. So like for that opening scene in particular, it's like, are you kind of hanging out in a robe, and then Eric says, all right, it's time to roll, and then you just disrobe and go for it, or how did that?
They got no robe. It's 135 degrees out. I just dropped trow and just did it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it, right?
Yeah.
What's hanging on the clothesline is my fucking pants for the whole fucking movie. Like that's it,
And it's not like there's a whole crew standing around watching. And they were close. It's me, the camera, actor.
The one thing, Eric, that we were worried about, it was our first day on set, and the woman who we rented her house from was actually living there. And she was inside the house.
Oh,
and we're like, one take. And she was just kind of getting used to the whole thing about shooting a movie on her land and in her house and inside of her house and inside of her bedroom. And so the first fucking day, I've got to do that shot. And I'm like going, please don't walk out of the house. Please don't open the window and see this. She's going to freak out. Remember that, Eric?
Yeah. So I believe we had one of our crew members sit inside with her to make sure no one was going to look out those windows.
Because we had scenes that were shot outside where all of a sudden she would just walk outside.
In the middle of the scene.
In the middle of the scene.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, like when you have to rent out or hire somebody's property, I've seen so many incredible stories of like the mishaps because people don't know, they're not involved in this sort of thing, and sometimes you don't know what an actor is going to do. In Super Troopers, Brian Cox was playing a drunk moment. He suddenly got this improvisational idea to stick a running garden hose into the property owner's truck, and the crew had to hold him back from running over there and beating the crap out of Brian Cox.
Actually, we're running a little short on time, but I did have one other question for either one of you. But it was on one of the props. Your double-barreled shotgun. It was very interesting. What was, where did that come from? And because it looked like it was a little bit older, but it was a really nice looking prop. So I was wondering, how you handled that. With the Alec Baldwin thing, obviously that was I don't know if that was in the news then, but
no, that was
safety and things and everything.
That was back before then, wasn't it?
I'm going to let London answer this, but just to add on the wearing many hats, London was also a prop master.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So, well, I went to I got some gun training. I got some rifle training from an expert here in Los Angeles. So I went to a rifle range. I'd never shot a rifle before. And I'm not a gun guy. I'm not a gun guy, but we knew that this was part of the film and this was something that I had to get comfortable with. Holding a real weapon is, to me, scary. Mm-hmm. Having a double-barrel shotgun was very important because I was really obsessive about counting shells, counting shots. Being a movie fan, I didn't want to leave any holes where people could say, "Oh, you goof right there. It was 5 shots." There's so many pop, 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 pop. The guy has like infinite amount of bullets. Yeah, it just takes the realism out. So I wanted to make sure
hate that in the film.
We kept the realism well. That if there was a click, there was a shot, and we counted the shots and we counted the shells to make sure that everything mathematically held up, because I think that also creates a bit of a real life intensity, because you can't just click down your screen and reload. Definitely. Your shots have to count. And so getting a double-barreled shotgun, I had to kind of fool our way into a major prop house here in Los Angeles. And this is the first feature that Erik and I have made together, and the first feature that him and I have produced. So when you go to a major prop house that does, I don't know, Saving Private Ryan and the Terminator and everything, they're very exclusive about who they lend their stuff out to and who they rent their stuff out to. So the shotgun that you saw, it was a $1 million insurance policy on those props.
Wow.
They're not fucking around with that stuff. And so I had to sign off on that stuff. So anytime we were finished with a scene, give me the fucking gun, and I'm going to make sure it's going to go right over here. I didn't want anything getting broken or walking away from set.
Yeah, then in this softly lined armored case to make sure.
Oh man, my truck was full of these fancy ass cases that look like, a rare guitar would be in it.
Yeah.
We really bluffed our way into it, but I had to put up all sorts of credit lines and everything to be able to rent that stuff, because they don't give it out to Troma.
I love a lot of. Yeah, I was about to say, I just love that guerrilla attitude of just get out there and make it happen no matter what it takes. Everybody from, Ed Wood to Lloyd Kaufman to Robert Rodriguez, so anybody who just dug down deep and got their film made.
Did you do a lot of research on gun safety procedure and everything as well?
So, So the Rust thing had happened.
No, Rust was 2 months later.
Was Rust 2 months later?
Yeah.
Because I thought we remember we had that one. Oh, you're right. It was later than the shoot.
Yeah.
But
while you're still in post,
the flashback was shot after the main footage in the desert. The flashback was shot after Rust.
Yeah.
And we had a concern because we had a police officer, a trooper on scene with a prop gun in his waistband, and we had an actor's agent call us and ask who was going to be the weapons master on the set. And because that was actually after. That's what I'm confused with, right, Erik?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. So I think if Rust had happened before our shoot in August, it probably would have been people would have been more conscientious. But I mean, I'm a nurse. I'm a I want to take care of people, and I don't want to get the production shot down.
Well,
We also didn't use blanks or anything.
Yeah, there's no live ammunition on the set. There's no blanks.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine, given the light of that incident, and of course the tragic Brandon Lee incident from a couple of decades back, any gun that is not going to be used to fire on screen, I think I would just go with airsoft, something nice and plastic that can't shoot any more than a BB if it's not going to be physically used like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's very. I mean, even the fake knives and stuff like this, I was because also if somebody gets hurt, you're done.
Yeah.
Not only insurance, not only lawsuits, but like the movie's done.
Mm-hmm.
The movie's done.
Mm-hmm.
And at any point in time, me climbing on the roof and stuff like that, I was like, oh my God, if I fall, we're done.
I gotta hand it to you. The my two favorite moments in the film, because they just look absolutely real, are the baseball bat hits. And it looks like there is no way people are not getting smashed in the face when that happens. So, like, brilliant piece of filmmaking right there.
That's Erik. That's all Erik. It's all angles.
Yes.
And we really did hit people in the face with baseball bats.
It was also a rubber bat.
Was it?
Rubber bats hurt too. I've gotten smacked some rubber props, and it's better than getting hit with aluminum or wood, but it still stings.
Yeah, it still stings.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But everybody was a speaking of Super Troopers, cast and crew, Super Troopers, absolutely all the way, dedicated to the bone. We couldn't have done it without them. And we're lucky to be here to talk about it. Yeah, really lucky to be here to talk about it and talk about it with guys who are excited like you.
Well, guys, I feel like we're lucky to have you here. Nim, do you have anything else for the guys?
No, I'm good. I think this was a great discussion. I loved hearing your guys' experiences and about being independent filmmakers. It's like we're all about independent here on anything, because you're out there and you're chasing the dream and really doing it all yourself. I think that was the most impressive thing. It's like, hey, we need a weapons master. Okay, well, I'm going to go out there and learn how to do it. So that's
after this interview, I'm going to go back in for a second dive into the film and like really dig deep, because of all the stuff I've learned about the film that I might not have picked up on the first time. I want to hunt for all these little Easter eggs and goodies that you put in there now.
Oh, well, thank you. There's even more. I mean, it was when you get the chance to make something and you got one shot, go for it. Don't paint a picture and then cheap out on the frame. Make the frame nice too, and make sure it's it's not crooked. And so we put a lot of detail into stuff where I see people kind of falling asleep at the wheel in other productions, and I go like, man, you could have done something so cool right there. It would have taken you 5 extra minutes. I appreciate that stuff. I don't think maybe nobody else does, but
everything on screen should have a purpose. And like, the thing that struck me right away with Reed is the Willie Nelson hairstyle. And like, immediately I'm going like, wonder what the story behind that is. Because that's the way it works. I see things and I start wondering about it.
Well, it's to keep the hair out of my face. To keep the hair out of my face for the fight scenes. Because once you're in a fight scene and you got one take and your hair's like that, cut. No matter how good it was, if your hair is covering your face, it's gonna end up on the cutting room floor.
A really unique look.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Having long hair, I've got like 2 styles. It's either this or it's in a ponytail or it's in pigtails. I don't have much variety here.
All right. I just realized that I got the trailer queued up, so we could go out on the trailer of the film if you want. We got right into that. So let me go ahead and throw the trailer up, and then we can go ahead and sign off if that sounds good for everybody. So
sounds great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.
I really don't feel right about not bringing anything to this party.
I asked, but Chuck and Michelle, they insisted.
Chuck, we're here.
Tonight, the unholy deity has delivered us the gift of a perfect sacrifice.
They're all dead. I don't talk to anybody, and that's the way I like it.
Please, mister, please, I need help.
We were attacked by these freaks in the desert. We were looking for another place to camp. Good evening. It seems we've gotten off on the wrong foot.
What in the hell do you want?
We could start with her first. Open the door now, and we promise to show you mercy.
If you don't get off my land right now, I'm gonna murder every single one of you!
You're not going anywhere tonight.
I've had enough of you little punks coming through and trashing the place. Back off!
The longer you resist, the more pain we will inflict. Call it a warm-up before the main attraction.
Wow, just great trailer.
Yeah, it
Thank
had
you.
a baseball bat hit. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys very much. It's very exciting, and to actually see the trailer is like, oh, I haven't seen that in a moment. That's looks pretty cool.
Absolutely
Yeah,
outstanding.
Means a lot to us that you watched it once, let alone a second time.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
we don't take this shit for granted, man. We're the most like appreciative. We're movie makers. We're not filmmakers.
Yeah.
We make movies and entertainment, and getting you guys seeing you smile and get excited about this is just that's our Oscar.
Makes
You
it
know, we don't take it for granted either. I feel like I'm so blessed to have had the opportunity to talk to so many people in the industry and get their experience and their insights, and get to revel in what they've made and interact and laugh with them like we have with you guys. It's such a pleasure. And here at Comic Crusaders, we like getting the big draws when we can, but we love just as much, if perhaps more, is shining the light on people who might not be as well known, because you guys deserve to be seen. You put your heart and your soul into it, and every drop of blood and sweat and love and passion is there on the screen for everybody to see. And I want to share you with the world.
Even put your shoulder into it, so
Thank you.
And I hope you get better. So
Oh yeah. Well, I'm so motivated. There's been some weeks where I was just fucking bummed out, but now that things are moving ahead, look at this. Oh, this is big. I can actually get my arm up straight, which is a huge accomplishment. Ask my physical therapist. Anyway, you guys are the best, and we hope we love comics, we love horror movies. We're the same breed.
Outstanding.
Of us.
Yeah. All right. Jeff, you want to take us out?
All right, everybody. We have been here talking to two of the main creators of Night of the Bastard, Erik and London, and we recommend that everybody go see it and watch us on Cinema Crusaders and, of course, Comic Crusaders. And bye, everybody.
See you later,
go watch
everybody.
movies, make entertainment. Love you.